Today, I have one of the most impactful poker sessions to share with you I've ever played in my life. I am vlogging right now from my new home in Fort Worth, Texas. Look at this. I cannot believe I live on this beautiful land. But as I'm unpacking and have all these things I've got to get sorted, boxes to go through, I am so excited to hang up my new art from Musa Art Galleries. These are high quality canvas prints. I got the Queen of Hearts and I got the King of Clubs to go along with my other art from them. They have free worldwide shipping, and if you use the link in my description, there's a code for a discount. Make sure you guys check it out. All right, it's time to head for the lodge for one of the most amazing poker sessions, the highest stakes I have ever played. See you guys there. What a roller coaster life has been the past week. Moved to Dallas, now on my way to play a last-minute invite to the Lodge live stream, 5-5-10, $2,000 buy-in, match the stack, and will officially be the highest stakes I've ever played. All right, I made it to the Lodge. It's so weird being here with my own car in a new state where I now live. Got my money ready, a full 10K right here. Hopefully it doesn't all go on the table. Anyway, I'll see you guys in there. Okay, made it, got my chips. Jason and Kyrie here.
Just in case.
Our just in case chips, we got them. Hopefully we don't need to put them on the table. Here we go. So like I said, this is my very first time playing a 5-5-10 game, and I know this game is going to get huge. It's going to be a $2,000 buy-in to start, but of course stacks are gonna get in, people are gonna top up, and this game is gonna get crazy. I end up being in for the most money I have ever had in front of me at a poker table, and this was a blast. It was a great experience and time for me to get my feet wet, play some Texas poker, play higher stakes, and start moving up. So here we go. Hope you guys enjoy the vlog. Alright, and one of the very first hands I get involved in, Abby Poker raises from under the gun 2 with pocket 10s. Chaz is next to act in the hijack. He makes the call with his pocket 7s, and then it folds to me and I'm on the button and look down at ace king offsuit. With a raise and a caller, I meant to make it 180, but I accidentally grabbed one less green chip, so I made it 155, but I meant to size up just a little bit more here. I saw Abby play the night before on the TCH Dallas live stream, and she played very snug, had the lowest VPIP, and didn't get out of line pretty much at all, so I knew she'd come in here playing very good starting hands. So action's back on her, and she ends up putting in the 4-bet out of position to $400. Chaz makes the fold, and now it's back on me. Of course, I can't see her hand. I don't know she has pocket 10s. In my mind, I'm thinking she has an absolute monster. At worst, pocket queens. When a pretty snug player 4-bets out of position, it's super strong. This is where I think I make the biggest mistake in the hand. I think I should have put max pressure on a hand that was most likely pocket queens. I block aces and kings because I hold each of them in my hand. But instead, my plan was to try and take it away post-flop, but I'll explain in a little bit why this wasn't the greatest play. I decide to flat, so we go heads up to a flop. The flop comes 9-6-3 rainbow, very dry board, and not a good flop for my specific hand. Abby goes a little bit on the larger side here and makes a bet of $300. Since I played my hand as a flat, I would have loved to raise her flop bet and then jam the turn, but instead I called the 300 and was planning on shoving over a bet on the turn, but the reason this is not gonna work is because after I called the 300, she only had about 1100 left in her stack, so any of her hands just can't fold anymore. We have too much money invested, and I totally made a rookie mistake and did not pay attention to SPR and realized that our stack sizes were shrinking. I was thinking we had a lot more behind than we did, probably just nervous and starting the stream and not thinking the hand through thoroughly enough, so that was totally my fault. And the way I wanted to play the hand, I would have applied max pressure and probably got her to fold by the river, but in this case it totally works out for her as I called the flop. The turn came a jack and she bet again, and now I'm pretty handcuffed because of stack sizes, and I decide to let it go, and I lose a pretty substantial chunk of my stack on the first hand, but that's okay. We've got top up money, and now I'm topping up for about $1,000 more. And by the way, guys, Abby Poker is just 22 years old. She was one of the youngest participants in the World Series of Poker this summer. I was very fortunate to meet her. She even came to my birthday party. We met, became friends, and it was a blast to play with her on the stream. Be sure to watch out for this girl in the future. In the next playable hand I'm dealt, there's a 5, 5, 10, 25 straddle on. It folds to Josh in the hijack and he raises to 75. I'm next to act in the cutoff and look down at pocket tens, finally a somewhat premium hand. I'm going to definitely 3-bet this one, as you want to get these types of hands in a heads up situation. I 3-bet to 275. This was a common reoccurrence for me in this live stream. It was a bit of a weird session for me as I only played a few pots heads up, and the times that I had monsters, hands like this happened where Josh raised with really crappy cards, I 3-bet and he folded. In this hand, the straddle is 5, 5, 10, and Big Daddy Chaz raises under the gun 1 with ace queen offsuit. I'm in the hijack and have ace 7 of diamonds. I decide to flat, and Cosma completes in the big blind with queen 8 off. Shout out to Big Daddy Chaz, he was a blast to play with, such a good sport, great for the game, and a very tough player to play against. So we go 3 ways to a flop of Jack 10 3 rainbow. Cosma checks and Big Daddy Chaz bets $75. I don't have much going for me on this board except backdoor diamonds, but I do have position and I know a little bit about Chaz's game, and he loves to put pressure on these types of boards, especially when he has overcards, and actually exactly like the hand he's holding right now. I think he'd barrel with ace king and ace queen on these types of boards, and he knows a lot of our range will consist of some pairs and maybe pair plus straight draw type hands. Essentially, we can't really have a nutted hand on this board, and he knows that, and I know he wants to take advantage of that. I make the call for 75 in position, planning on doing some things on the turn, and Cosma calls with his gut shot. So now we head to a turn card, which is an offsuit 7, so I do pair up here. Cosma checks, and now Chaz has to decide if he wants to keep firing, but my plans are thwarted as Chaz goes for a over pot size bet of $475, and this is exactly why he is such a tough opponent to play against. My spidey senses were still going off. This is such a polarizing bet. He has to have aces, kings, queens, or a set of jacks or tens to do this, and some of his bluffs will consist of hands like ace king and ace queen. Maybe even hands like queen 9 suited, straight draw hands. While it did feel possible, my pair of 7s is good at this point. His bet size really handcuffs me here. I don't really want to float for this price, and if I raise and just get snap called, I'm gonna hate my life, so I decide to fold and let this one go. I think I'd rather do something if I have better blocking candidates, like let's say I had ace 8 of diamonds. I block 8 9, which is the nut straight, so it'd have been fun to see if I had a hand like ace 8 if I would have been able to pull the trigger here. So anyway, nice hand, Chaz. Way to put max pressure on. My spidey senses were going off, but I couldn't pull the trigger. Before this hand started, we started the stand-up game, and if you don't know what the stand-up game is, basically we all have to stand up until we win a hand, and the last person to sit down owes the table all $25 each. So in this case, if you lose, you owe $200 total dollars. Of course, no one wants to be the last one standing and owe the table, so in this hand, Josh raises the button with 7-3 offsuit. Super premium hand. I'm in small blind and look down at ace deuce suited. It's a suited wheel ace, we block premiums, we're playing the stand-up game, let's raise it up. So I raise to 225. The player in the big blind tanks for a while, counts out his stack, and then makes the call. So at this point, calling a 3-bet out of position in the blinds really looks like pocket 10s or jacks a lot of the time, especially this type of player. He was playing pretty snug and straightforward and was showing up with the nuts a lot of the time. So when he flats there, I think he's very pair heavy, probably 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks, something like that. Now it's back on Josh, and he makes the call with 7-3 off because, hey, it's a premium, so we're going 3 ways to a flop, and I'm hoping I can win this hand so I can sit down. The flop comes queen high with 2 clubs, so we flop the nut flush draw. I'm eyeing Los's stack, and he has about 1100 behind. This pot is already pretty big, and I want to leverage stacks and hopefully get heads up against Los. I'm not too worried about Josh, but even if Josh does stay in the hand, I'm not going anywhere with my nut flush draw, so I'm happy to start putting money in the pot. I think I'd play this hand a bit differently if it was heads up or in a different situation, but because of Los's stack, I decided to make a pretty large bet of 375, which is a bit over half pot. Los thinks for quite a while, counts his stack. He really doesn't want to fold, but then he decides to shove all in. Josh folds and I snap call, and here's what happens.
Outs.
A few. One or two.
That's
No
not
help.
one of them. Sure club.
Unfortunately, I could not hit my ace or my club outs to felt Carlos, and instead I lose a pretty significant pot, and I unfortunately was the last player standing, so I had to pay out the table $25 each and be stuck, probably the most I've ever been stuck in a cash game ever. Ouch. After I finished paying the table and licking my wounds, I topped up, so now I'm in for $5,000 and I have $3,500 in front of me, so I'm stuck 1.5k. By the way, this is the most money I've ever been in a game for and the most I've ever been down in a cash game, so there's a lot of firsts happening for me on this stream. School bus limps when the 5-5-10 straddle is on, Josh raises the cutoff with king 10 off, and I'm next to act with ace queen suited. Definitely gonna 3-bet this one on the button, and I make it $175. And just like those other hands, everyone ends up folding and I don't get to play a pot heads up or a post flop hand, but at least I took the hand down. In this hand, I play a hand against my good friend, Bear, aka Kyrie. There's a live 25, so it's 5-5-10-25. It folds to me and I look down at a pretty cool hand, ace 5 of hearts. I raise it up to 75. Bear then 3-bets to 225, it folds it back around to me. I think this hand functions best as a 4-bet or fold in this spot, but my thinking at the time was I do know a bit about Kyrie's game. I know he's pretty new to the game, although he is a very tough and aggressive player. I felt like there was a chance I could outplay him post-flop, so I decided to make the call. The flop came king 3. I check it over to him and he down bets to $150. Again, I've seen Bear play a lot and I don't normally see him down bet, so I wasn't sure what to make of this. It actually almost induced me to put in a raise on the flop, but I ended up letting it go and folding. I wanted to get creative in the hand. I thought for a while on the flop, but I'm glad I ended up folding as he flopped trips. Nice answer. In this hand, I put the $20 straddle on, so it's 5-5-10-20. Bear limps with pocket 8s, Ian limps with 9-7 suited. It folds around to Josh, he makes the call, and I check my option, and we go 4 ways to a flop. The flop comes pretty great for our straddle hand. It's king 3 with 2 spades. Josh checks after flopping top pair, and I'm not gonna let this one check through, so I bet $40. Everyone folds except Josh, he makes the call, so we head to a turn card. The turn is an offsuit 6, Josh checks, and I'm going to keep going for value here, try to get called by any kings and flush draws, so I make it 105. He makes the call yet again, so we head to a river card. The river is a pretty awesome card, it's another 3, so now we have a full house. Now at this point, I'm praying Josh has something he can call me with. There are some missed draws like Jack 10 and flush draws, so I want to make it a size where I can get called by a worse king and maybe induce some of his air and his missed draws that missed to raise, so I bet 215 and he snap calls, so at that moment I wish I'd made it a little bit bigger, but nevertheless I flip over my cards, show him the bad news, and finally scoop a pot here, so hopefully we're picking up some steam. In this hand, I get my hand caught in the cookie jar as Cosma raises 5 deuce suited from the hijack to 65. School bus flats the cutoff, Josh makes the call with Jack 3 of hearts, and now it's on me. I know Cosma raises pretty wide and the callers after don't always have to have strong hands, but in this spot I think the person with the strongest hand would be school bus flatting the cutoff. When it gets to me, I have queen 10 suited. It's a hand that, while it does play decent post flop, it's just not a very strong hand, and sometimes I like to use this hand as a 3-betting candidate because if we get 4-bet or jammed on, we don't mind folding at all as it's not a very good hand. So I decided to raise it up, polarize a little bit, and I made it $270. Cosma lets his hand go, and then School Bus asks for how much the raise size is, and then thinks about his options. I was hoping he would just flat and we could play post, but unfortunately he rips all in. I couldn't quite tell how much he had in his stack. I thought he had less than 1,000, which if he did, I would be getting the right price to call this all in. When it folds to me, I have a decision, I get a count. He actually had 1,400 in his stack, which was a bit more than I thought, so I'm not getting the right price, and I said, "You caught me." I lay it down, and he takes down the pot, so we don't get away with that one, but I do like that I was trying to be aggressive and make some moves. In this hand, the lovely, wonderful stand-up game is back on, so we are all on our feet. There's a bunch of limps for $10, and I'm in the big blind and look down at pocket jacks. It's tough to get players to fold, especially in this game, so I'm going to polarize and make it a massive sizing from the big blind. I would probably do this with any hand I would decide to play in this spot, so I make it $150. It folds around to Abby, and she's going to peel and try to flop a set against me in the cutoff, so we go heads up to a flop. The flop comes king 7-7 rainbow, just about as dry as it gets. Since Abby limped in the cutoff, I can eliminate a lot of king X combinations from her range, and even if she did happen to have a king, it can't be a very strong one because I know she would have raised pre-flop with ace king suited, king queen, king jack. maybe even king 10 suited, etc. So I'm pretty sure I'm way ahead in this spot. I decide to bet $100 and she makes the call, so we head to a turn. The turn is an 8 of diamonds. If Abby wants to see the river with a king, she's gonna have to pay full price, and hopefully I can get her to fold by the river. She was on fire on this live stream, hitting all kinds of hands, quads, queens, and she is up a lot of money, so I know she doesn't want to probably get involved in a big pot. I'm gonna apply max pressure. I want to take this pot down no matter what she has because I don't want to lose the stand-up game yet again, so I bet $350. She thinks for a bit and then makes the fold, and the last shall be first in this spot because thank goodness I get to sit down and I'm not going to be paying the table $200. While I've hit some hands, I am still stuck a lot of money. This is the most I've ever been down in a cash game ever. I am stuck $2,305 at the moment. We are about 70% of the way done on this live stream, so I'm just hoping that I can pick up some hands and get involved in some pots and hopefully somehow crawl out of this hole. In this hand, the blinds are 5, 5, 10, and Chaz forgot to put his straddle out, so he decided to blind raise to 25. I'm in the hijack and decide to flat with ace 8 of spades, Los, Ian, Cosma, and school bus call, so we're going 6 ways to a flop. Now that's some Texas poker. The flop is amazing for our hand. It's ace 9 deuce with 2 spades, so we flop the world here. It checks around to me and I'm definitely going to start betting, and I make it $70, which is about half pot. Both Los and Cosma call with their pair of aces, so we're going 3 ways to a turn. The turn just improves our hand even more. It is an offsuit ace, and now we have 2 pair. Because of the strength of my hand and the multiple players in the pot, I don't feel like I need to polarize and bet too big here. I'm gonna bet about half pot, so I make it $175. Los ends up making the fold and Cosma comes around. He's not convinced just yet, so we head to a river card, which is an offsuit deuce. He checks it over to me, and now this is actually a great card because I can get called by any ace at this point. Even a hand like ace jack or ace 10 has to call me in this spot. We have all those hands beat with our better 2 pair. Because of the fact I don't think any decent ace is going to make a fold here, I'm going to make a pretty sizable bet, so I bet $425. Cosma pretty much snap calls me, and he sees the bad news and finally picking up some steam here and winning a very, very nice pot. In this hand, I raise an early position with ace-jack offsuit to $75 because the 5, 5, 10, 25 straddle is on. Ian flats 8, 7 of spades on the button, and then Cosma wakes up with the monster. He has pocket kings in the small blind, and he raises to 315. Being out of position here, especially not even having the button, I think I just have to lay this one down. So I decide to fold, Ian folds, and Cosma takes down the pot, and we make a good fold considering we were absolutely crushed.
There's Skull Mike.
Get back in your bunker.
I know he's gonna friggin' straddle.
I mean,
oh,
at this rate, I might.
A lot of fun today. We'll be back Wednesday,
No, she's thinking because
3 p.m. Central, if this was the first time you ever watched us. Hope you come back Wednesday.
I have to do math.
We have a lot of fun here. Don't always
how deep does the gambling addiction go?
home of the kangaroos and koala bears.
So I know I've told you guys to buckle up many times in the past, but this time you're going to need to buckle up and latch the safety strap because this is the biggest pot I've ever played in my life and probably one of the craziest situations I've ever been in. As you can see, this was a 5, 5, 10, 25, 50, 100, 200, 400 straddle pot. That's right, you heard me right, 200 to 400, and now I'm first to act on the button and I look down at ace king offsuit. We are so deep here, open ripping just seemed so scary. I wasn't sure what to do, so I decided to raise to 1500. It folds around the school bus, and because of the blind amounts, he essentially has about 5 to 6 big blinds behind, so he probably thought if he's 60-40, it's a good price for him to get it in, which he was actually correct. Even though he has queen 8 offsuit, you kind of have to look at it as he had 6 big blinds and queen high. He decides to shove all in. I snap call for the biggest pot of my entire life, and this is what happened.
Puts big slick down.
Live. Oh, big sweat, big sweat. Oh my. Got legs.
School bus has live cards here with Queen 8
Anyone pull
officer.
the queen?
It's still last hand. We'll go for it.
Ash got the glasses. No.
This is the last hand of the stream.
Right away, no sweat.
So Poker Face Ash fans, on your feet.
How
about a queen?
existence.
How about a queen?
And you got the heart. Yeah, that's good.
Queen.
Oh, she milking
Give him
it
an 8.
too.
Give him an 8. Just
For the trauma.
a little swag. Give him an 8.
Sweat.
Wow.
It's over. Poker Face Ash stacks school bus.
I was praying for an ace on the flop to calm my nerves and just get the hand over with, and the poker gods heard my cries and my prayers as we flop an ace and pretty much almost flop him dead. Thank goodness the ace came because he did hit an 8 on the river, so we scoop a $5,700 pot, the biggest pot I have ever played, and what an end to this stream. Not only did I crawl out of my hole, but I managed to book a nice profit in the biggest game I've ever played in my life. Phew. It's time to wrap this session up and head to the cage and cash out. And to make it easy to track all my sessions, I use Poker Analytics. It's the best way to track your wins, your losses, your tournaments, your cash games. So I was in the game for $8,000, cashed out with $9,225 for a profit of $1,225. Oh man. I don't even know how to feel right now. Like, you guys, that was the biggest game I've ever played in. The most I've ever been in a game for, the biggest pot I've ever won, like so many firsts. And what's so cool about this is, you know, I'm gonna get used to playing bigger, used to getting in spots, and used to putting chips in, and, you know, just lots more money, which I know you shouldn't really think about it like that anyway. So it's good to like get this, you know, get these experiences out, and so I can come back, you know, more experienced the next time. Oh man, I'm like, the adrenaline's definitely pumping right now for sure. Especially that last hand, I was just praying for an ace in the window, no sweat, and thankfully the poker gods heard my prayers and won a really nice pot to end up on the stream. So I was in the game for $8,000, out for $9,220, I believe, for a profit of around $1,200. So what a journey, what a ride. That was probably one of the funnest, I think the funnest live stream I've ever played on. Some tough competition, some crazy, crazy players, and luckily, I don't know how, but we pulled out a win, you guys. So if you guys enjoyed the vlog, would you do me a huge favor and go all in and like, comment, and subscribe? It would mean the world to me. Remember, we are just getting started and it's only up from here, truly. I'll see you guys next time. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Poker Face Ash. Join me September 1st through 4th at Georgetown Poker Club in Georgetown, Texas. We're gonna be doing several days of live streams, meetup games, a tag team tournament, and a charity tournament. Make sure to come out, try to grab some Ash Cash, and follow all of Georgetown's socials to make sure you don't miss anything on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. I'll see you in Georgetown, Texas.